My homemade truck camper. So we'll go inside and I'll just give you a quick overview. We try to make this camper as light as we could, so everything's pretty much made out of door skin. It does have 1.5 inches of insulation in the outside and in the ceiling. As you can see, I basically just used door skin and didn't paint it or anything. It's just urethane, just leave the same color wood grain. With material on the ceiling and just on the around the bed area and things like that, around the seating. Just basically try to keep it as light as possible, as I was putting it on a Dodge Dakota, as you can see from the starting picture there. So we do have the bed up top there, and I've made it so that it is 6'2" by 6'2". So you can sleep north, south, or east, west on the bed, depending on how many people are up there. I have slept, my wife and I, as well as our 5-year-old, up on the bed. And in the daytime, basically just fold this flap up here so that it's not in the way when you're sitting in the seating area. That allows me to have the extra feet or headroom when sleeping on the bed. And I also, instead of putting cabinets up at the top here, which are heavy with the doors and all everything, I just basically did a shelf there just to throw miscellaneous items up in there, bigger items. And actually made a little rack for my fly rod, and I have another rod sitting up there now as well. Made a second rod holder for just a fly fishing rod. And you can see here that I've got the vent just to get the hot air out of the camper. Vent any fumes from cooking and whatnot, and I've got the little cover there for at night so the light doesn't come in. I just generally use the parts out of the spare camper that I got. So I got the fridge here. It's a propane. It's actually 3 ways: 12 volt, 120, or propane. It's got a small cooler there and a couple of shelves and on the door and a couple racks in the fridge. Works quite well for about a week of camping. Put the food in there. Keeps it around 3 or 4 degrees in the fridge and freezes in the freezer. On this side, I've got some small latches to hold up the doors, and you can see they're just a thin door, just door skin with a wood surround, and we use this for all our dry goods, and as well as the bowls and small area for salt and pepper, things like that. Normally you'd have a latch here to hold it up, but I found it easier just to do the one on the ceiling. And also I've got this little shelf here above the wet storage that I have outside, just so when you step in the door you can throw your keys or whatever there. Switch here for the outside light as you're exiting the back so that you can see at night. And like I said, there's actually not even any door skin on the ceiling. I just covered the foam with the cloth before I put it in on the ceiling from the outside. And again, I got a latch here on the bathroom door just to stop it from coming open when we're traveling. I use some little lights here, and I've actually converted them over to LED lighting so that the battery lasts longer. And I've got the pump style water for the sink, and you can see I've got some antifreeze in there. It's the first time using the camper this year. And then I also have the switch on it to do the 12 volt pump. I've got a 120 volt outlet there as well as 12 volt, which allows me to plug in behind the water bottle on the counter there. I've got a garbage can and the fire extinguisher and CB radio as well, just to the right of the stove. And I had the stove. This stove actually had an oven on it, and I cut the oven off because I figured I would never use the oven. So just the 3-burner stove in here. You could have left the oven if you thought you might have used it, but it was pretty much useless to me. I don't actually have a furnace in the camper, but what I'm doing is actually utilizing the heat from the back of the fridge to allow me to heat the camper if I'm camping early in the season. I have a vent that closes off the outside vent and allows the heat to come into there, and I'm planning on putting a fan in that to blow it into the camper. I've got drawers. I think there's 3 or 4 drawers in here. One with the utensils. Second one down I usually use for dry goods or anything, canned food, sort of stuff like that. And then a larger one underneath that, which we use for, at this point I'm just storing my outside propane stove. any larger items that we might need for camping. I've got a little ladder here as I've got a 5-year-old daughter who's having trouble climbing up onto it, but now she's old enough, so don't really need it. Another storage here for we put towels and bags and things like that in there. You could use it pretty much whatever you want. And behind that is actually the outside 20 liter or pound propane. And another small shelf here, just when you're up on the bed if you wanted to set a drink or something on there, just somewhere that you could put that so it's not going to get knocked over. And the small shelves up here above the bed, one on each side, just to allow me to have some, like a flashlight or whatever at night, to throw your keys up there or your watch or whatever. And then on this side we've got the table which converts down into the other bed. It's again just over 6 feet long once you convert it. And they've made this table actually offset so you can spin it around so it's out of the way when you're not needing it, or if you just turn it all the way around it actually makes it so you can have a nice seating area. Just behind the table there, here is another storage area that I've made for, like, we put all our games and floaty toys and things like that in there, and there's a pump in there for the air pump for the float toys. And all these cushions just come off easily and can be moved around to allow you to have this bed as well there. And here I've got a 40-gallon water tank as well. I normally have a deep cycle battery there, 12-volt battery. Basically this area is that also vented outside so that you don't get the fumes from the battery. There's one of those on each side, and I just blocked them up in the winter so that I don't get any animals coming in there in the winter. That the battery will go back in there before I start the season once it's all charged up. There's another storage here just for use underneath the stove, which is pots and pans, and that's where the oven would be if you didn't remove it like I did. I've got just made some racks here for books, as we always end up having maps and books or whatever. And beside that, another little space just that would normally not be used in the campers beside the wheel well. Just use it for odds and ends, tape. Throw my little fishing rods in there. I've got some ropes and bug spray and things like that are just easy to grab out of there from the door. And you can see there my drinking water I just store in the blue container, and I've got a cover that actually goes over that so that you don't see the big blue container, just the spigot sticks through. Give you a quick look. Just basically have a one-piece washroom here, mirror on the back of the door. So all you really need is just the toilet, goes into the tank on the outside and can be drained at your normal sandy dump. There's a small window in there and a light as well. Just keep our garbage cans in there too, and usually just have a towel hanging on the back of the door for drying your hands when you're using the sink. But that's basically it. Just a quick overview. I'm going to do a video on how I built this camper as well, so you can kind of have an idea of the structure. But that's basically all there is to the camper itself. Got a little screen door there. Found that we wanted to keep the door open, just kept the camper a little bit cooler, so I just made this little screen door up. And that little door that I use there to get the handle is just a little door that you'd use on a house screen, on the latch style house screens. Worked out quite well. Just cover up the handle and could easily access the outside door handle and the deadbolt lock. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and watch any other videos that I've got posted on this camper. I'm going to be doing one with loading the camper, as well as some modifications I made to the truck. This camper unloaded with no water, no battery, is about 630 pounds. Fully loaded with all our gear, food, water and batteries, it puts it around 900, which can quite easily be taken in the back of my Dodge Dakota. Anyways, thank you for watching, and would love for you to subscribe or comment on my videos. Thank you.